And we're back. Yes, sirree, Blob. We are back. Back in the saddle again, ladies and gentlemen, for another fine hour or two with your host, yours truly, Maximilian Desmond Rutherford. I just realized something. Hey, what's up, Craig, man? How's it shaking? Something's a little off on here. I gotta try to fix it. What's going on, buddy? Are you jumping back and forth from No White Guilt to this channel? He's blows my mind how that guy can stream for so long, like hours. No, doing work though. Okay, what kind of work? Just like around the house kind of crap. Shit, get the dude. The one day that I don't send you a link and you jump in the chat. I don't know if I could still send you a link. Let me turn down Miles Davis for a minute. How you doing there, Big Luke? The mighty Lukester. 90 pounds lighter Luke. Dude, you freaking blow my mind, man. I can't believe you did that. I mean, it makes me deeply ashamed of myself. Since I started with these particular health problems that I have, like losing weight's been a fucking crisis. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far, but I'm really impressed with what you've done. Baldwin, the King of Jerusalem, is here. And there you go. Good to have you guys. Maybe, you know what I was actually going to do? I just bought a new comic book that's really fun. We might, just for fun, kind of look through it. I'll give you some updates. I have a very major announcement, which is really, really good news. But I'm kind of waiting for a few more people to show up. I can't believe it. You're the guy whose music I listen to at Luke's. Yeah, Luke is fucking famous, man. This dude is. Can you believe I had the pleasure of being in a band with him once? Yes, we played the White Art Collective Music Festival, the first one. And he played bass in my little original band. It's amazing, amazing. Let me ask you guys quick, how is the audio coming through? Is my audio okay? The man, Craig the man, thanks for listening, brother. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm telling you, Luke is like a superhero. The man can do so much. A tremendous inspiration to me as a friend and as an artist and as a thinker. You know, the way that he's able to look at the white identity movement, the various forces that impact that, our history, our influencers, philosophers, etc. And you know, I have to say, like, he's definitely had a really big impact on me and influence on me that has just come out as inspiration. You know, that what drives me to do hundreds and thousands of hours of work is to live up to this Aryan God standard that we that we have for ourselves, you know. And so like being around someone like him is really really great, very inspiring. So I'm gonna nerd out a little bit on some artwork here. I just think like that is a beautifully illustrated face. Look at that. I believe that's Lex Luthor. The way the shadows and the rendering work, it's really, it's just, that's my whole gig with comics. It's just art. It's like an art candy shop, you know, where you get to see all kinds of weird, cool things that you could never see in real life, and the various styles of the various artists. Of course, the storytelling, narrative is everything. It's just good shit, you know. It's just great fun. It's great, great fun. So, and I've since I've absorbed comics for so long, over so many years, I'm sure that it's taught me how to tell a visual story, you know, which is a pretty cool thing. This is a really phenomenal two-page spread and layout. I like this when you'll have like one gigantic image and then like, you know, little panels that kind of break down the bits and pieces of this location. Good stuff. So Luke says, "Yep, I got to play bass with American Zarathustra at the first Whackfest. A true bit of history right there for sure. This comic is lit. Yeah, it's hot as hell. It's just damn, damn good. So like, in the comics world, the writers and artists are like what rock stars are in the music industry. You know, like imagine a band where you had, say, the lead singer of I don't know, Led Zeppelin, and the lead guitar player for Rolling Stones, and the bass player from Pink Floyd, and the drummer from I don't know, you see what I'm saying? If you could mix and match musicians, you could only imagine what cool bands you could be or could listen to. So that's kind of how it works with art teams and such. For me, I'm not. It's not so much about the writers. Writers are important, obviously, but I'm an artist, so I buy comics because of the artists and the characters. I'm not like a massive Superman fan per se, but there's some. I'm a massive fan of Brian Hitch and Kevin Nolan. So Brian Hitch is a British artist, and look how realistic that is. I mean, he's known for super highly detailed work and very very highly realistic characters. They're not kind of cartoony. They have like a sort of real human quality to them. Now this other guy who's doing the inking on that, sorry, that's Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan actually is an artist, and he's more known for his own work. But as an inker, he puts a Kevin Nolan touch to everything. He kind of changes the art a little bit to make it look like Kevin Nolan. So he's hyper popular. He's a super super popular artist. So like when you get two massive rock star artists on one book, it's just gonna knock you out of your galaxy there. So like, yeah, man. I don't know. That's just my thing. I love this stuff. It just drives me nuts. Moving on. And sorry, now you gotta look at my shit art compared to this. So sad. So sad. Let's move on. Reading the chat. You're doing well with the color. Comic books truly are a one of a kind medium. So, comic books are one of the few American mediums. The comic book was invented in America. Political cartoons, things of that nature, they've been around for a long time, but how the comic book was created or invented was, it started off that publishers who put out like Sunday comics, Sunday paper, you got a comics page or whatever. So they just kind of cut those up and repackaged them into actual comic books. So that's how the medium. I don't know if medium is the term I want to use. What is the word I want to use here? I don't have a word for this, but like the product, I suppose. You know how like you've got I don't know, you've got like novels, you've got encyclopedias, you've got like there's different kinds of books. So anyway, that's the origin of the comic book. However, once publishers discovered like, oh wow, these are selling really well, this is a thing, then they hired artists and writers to you know make the actual comic books rather than kind of chop up the ones from the Sunday paper and repurpose it. And in which case, then you would have, like studios started getting formed where, the artists and writers would work at the publishing office. And, you'd have an editor, of course, who would, oversee everything and make sure that, whatever's this and that and the other thing. Um, and then, but here's an interesting point, though. It's as the industry grew, it was really the people that did what do you call them, like Sunday papers, that made the most money. Because try to imagine you do one comic that's like a single page with a couple panels on it, but you sell that one comic to 1,000 newspapers across the United States. Do you see what I'm doing? What I'm saying? So the money coming in from that is far more than, here's your page rate for drawing like a 12-page story or something. The publisher would make all the money off of that. So I know there was a guy that I knew from, he did like DC and Marvel comics, and he trained me in how to draw ink comics, etc. And he was explaining to me that like we're in the ghetto. This isn't where the real money is. You would want to create a popular cartoon that you could franchise across. It's like figure, I don't know, who's the little kid with the tiger, Kelvin and Hobbes. Like that's a perfect example of you know that kind of thing, etc., etc. So I just gave you guys a fantastic little history lesson there. I'm giving myself a pat on the back. Shalom Elohim. Yes, shalom, shalom to Hippocratic Oath. Great to have you. Shalom so hard. Begalian blessings. Luke is so funny. He's got his own lingo. Um, I we Luke Mason should have like his own state. Like they should just. I'm moving to Lukaho or whatever. Would come up with some kind of a state that's just for people who follow the laws of Luke. That would be awesome. I'm on board. So I guess I can give. Well, it's still a little early, but I'll probably re-announce this here and there as the show goes. Um, who here in the audience knows Avril? Eric Arwal. He is in the news quite a lot lately. He's been on a lot of shows recently. I was just watching two shows, interviews with him on Jake Shields. One with just him, and then the other with Thomas Rousseau of Patriot Front. And he has created an all-white community in Arkansas, and our friends over at the ADL are like suing him for it and going after him for it because Jews can have a homeland, but whites can't. That's obviously a very, very terrible thing. You get it. I'm being sarcastic, yada yada. So he just had an interview with Nick Fuentes. It's just like if you get sued by the ADL, suddenly that boosts your algorithm through the roof. And anyway, I'm being a little sarcastic, but you get the idea. It's a great thing what he's accomplishing. It's not an easy thing what he's accomplishing. And so here's the news is that I reached out to him to come on the Donald Kent show, and he agreed. Woo! So we're scheduling it sometime after the 11th of August, and that's what it is. So I did tell him that like the theme of the show is going to be arts related. How can the arts foster a white racial enlightenment, and tie that into his community, his project, what he's doing, da da da. And so it's kind of, yeah, Arval has been blessed by the Streisand effect. The Streisand effect, I like that. That's pretty funny, bro. Oh my God, that's the name of our new band, the Streisand Effect. There you go. Okay, Luke, let's get writing songs for that band right now. Okay, the Streisand Effect. What kind of music would that be? Curious. Would it have to be like punk rock? What would it be? What genre? So obviously I'm pretty freaking psyched. This is a big deal. Um, it's not just the sort of like tapping into what's happening right now. It's it's very much about like something is happening, and to be a part of it in such a way as to say like, okay, how does where does my cog fit into the machine, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? The arts sadly don't get the attention that they deserve in our movement, and they're critical. And there's very, very, very few people out here doing what I'm doing to get that message across. Blah 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 blah. So I think it's a really significant topic, and it'll be a really important show for me, obviously, right? I just really hope that I can tie together what I do with what he does, and then maybe even bring say like Thomas Rousseau on the show, or kind of like walk up the ladder a little bit with this situation. See, you know, it's got to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like there needs to be a kind of like you know, okay, Arval and I, we figured something out, and so uh, you know, now we need to go talk to this guy about what we figured out, so that we can tie in this other thing, and then like make progress with it. So because I think, okay, so for example, on the Jake Shields show, here you've got Arval and Thomas Rousseau from Patriot Front and Jake Shields, and the three of them together, seeing these three players, if you want to call it that, you sense like, wow, man, there's a freaking truckload of power here, in terms of like, one guy is a popular media dude, the other guy is a IRL comedian, sorry, comedian, community developer, or and then Thomas Rousseau is the Patriot Front. So combine all of those ingredients, and what do you get? Something extremely powerful. So what would happen if somehow the arts were a part of that? What would that look like? How would that evolve? Does that make sense? So I really would like to hear your thoughts on what I just said, and get your impressions on that. People who make art and music are obviously a bit ahead of the curve on how the arts operate culturally and politically. So, we perhaps have a clearer idea, but I need to hear what everybody thinks. It's just not artist exclusive. So I really, really would love to hear your thoughts in the chat on that. just kind of wrap up what I'm doing here, and I'll read your comments in a moment. In other news, I just had a phone conference with the writer of this Alliance project. Um, Gosh, all I can say is like all the gears are in motion. I do really have to work my ass off. I got to do like some really serious crunching on the artwork. I'm gonna be tied to the grindstone here until this is done because all these pages have to go to a colorist who then digitally colors everything. That's time consuming. That's a lot of work. He gets paid. And then there's a dude who does the lettering. And so blah blah blah. All that it's not it's a lot of work. So it's on me. It's incumbent on me to like kick major ass right now to make sure that these guys have time to do their jobs so that we can get this out for Christmas. So Christmas is like the big sales time, obviously, right? You want to launch a product or something at that time. So you get the idea. Alrighty, I'm going into the chatteroonies, diving deep into the chat chasm. We got Party On. Lucas here, Party On. Yep. Arval has been blessed by. I read that. I got to hang with Foundring at Patriot Jam. I'd like to connect you two. Oh, very good. Do everything you can, Luke. Do everything you can, my man. Foundring has been doing some incredible research regarding the origin of ragtime music. Fascinating. Hippocratic Oath says Ausländer raus. Ausländer raus. Ausländer raus. Ausländer raus. Come on, join me. Let's go. Ausländer raus. That song just gets me going. I feel like I need a pint of beer, though. A stein of beer. Which, Ausländer raus, which is a remake of L'amour toujours, really took off. And there is Kanye's song. Oh my god, yeah. Music is immune to censorship. Ooh, Corey's here. Welcome, Corey. Art is inseparable from culture. The stronger and more vibrant the artistic expression, the healthier the culture itself, in my opinion. I think you got more than an opinion there, Buster Rooney. That's the hardcore truth. So look at the arts during the time of Uncle A and how glorious they were and how they reflected back to the German people who they are. And then compare that to how whites are portrayed in, any movie, any commercial, any TV show. And this was a big topic that Arval was talking about on Jake Shields' show. And this is something that we're going to dig into when I bring him on my show. Is this whole kind of like taking whites out of the, what do you want to call it? Like, I feel like it's like they're drugged. I feel like whites are zombified, by popular media. Add that to like drug addiction and hookup culture and free porn and on and on and on and on. It's just the shit that the world people are growing up in today is a world that is nothing. I could never have imagined it, when I was young. I think most people can see the dangers of it, the evils of it. So there's a lot to unpack there. So I think the problem, there's many problems, but like one aspect of all this is just like kind of the funding for the arts and I don't know how to say it, sort of like the platform for the arts, if you will. How, where, and when do people see different forms of art? Hippocratic Oath was making a great point in the chat room earlier about music and how I actually would say that really music is probably music and film are the dominant cultural art forms. They have, I would say, like the greatest influence. Um, that's not to say that like this graphic novel can't. What this is it's memeable. It's highly, highly, highly memeable. So when the artwork comes out and the story comes out, and people start to, get on board with the messaging, the humor, so much of it, then they're just gonna rip into it and make like funny videos and gifs and memes, and it'll become a whole thing. It'll be like a whole culture. Um, so yeah, there's stuff like that. There's quite a lot to unpack on all those fronts. Um, I think what I said. Oh yeah, another thing that I just emailed Arval about. Let me say hello to Illusion Art. Hello, hello. Welcome to Matt W. Hail Hydra. Yes, Hail Hydra. Is that, and my followers know that like I've tried to create sort of white positive communities over the years. I've had these different iterations and these different projects, and I've never really been successful. They're big, big idea projects. There was like the what do you call it? The Heritage American Project, and then that morphed into this other thing, trying to reach out to what do you call those ethnic clubs and organizations. Um, and it's been tough. So I feel like I want to share a lot of that with. I keep wanting to just call him Eric, you know, and say, hey, here are some things that I did. What did I do wrong, like, or where where what should I do? How what would you recommend in terms of me like going back and trying to accomplish forming these white groups. The first one was based on like nationalism or patriotism. So that was the very first. What did I call it? Patriot Convention or something like that. And the idea, and all of them are based on this concept of like a monthly convention. Where you do have vendors and music and all that stuff, but it would also be a place to foster various other things, much a lot of other things. And my recent project, I should say that I kind of got discouraged because I tried working this out and I discovered that there was no interest in it from one of the organizations that I reached out to. And so I could pursue it harder. I could go in there and like push it harder and this kind of thing. Um, I did get an indication that there are some new people, well, new women on the board of directors of this one particular organization, and they went out of their way to say like, oh, this is not just for Irish people, it's for everybody. And like, no, it's not for everybody. It's an Irish cultural club. So you're not going to have, you understand what I'm saying. I mean, you could have other white people, I think. Anyway, there's a real legal threat to these people. They can't, you understand what I'm saying. Like, this is the way that it is right now. It's the way things are structured. So I feel like, maybe I don't know what it's like on their end, what are the sort of the dangers or limitations. I don't know the politics in their organizations. I don't know who's for or against what, or any of that. There could be any number of those kind of issues to deal with. Um, so blah blah blah. Anyway, those are some topics that I will bring up. Obviously, I'm quite excited about it, and I've known of his content for years. Um, anyway, moving on. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, we got Illusion Artist here. Hippocratic O says, Whammon, I'm not surprised. Yeah, and I mean, it was not only that, it was like if I could show you a photograph of this particular Whammon, you'd be like, oh, that fits the stereotype exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like there was this other thing. So you know about these like historic organizations where they you might have like a location that is some famous place in American history, and people will cosplay. They'll dress up in the clothing of how people dressed at that in the 1800s, and they'll do the cooking and the cleaning and the various things, and live life the same way that people did in those days. And that's a type of history museum slash tourist spot kind of thing. And so I recently came across one of those locations near me, like in my area, and I'm aware of it. I was there like 1,000 years ago, probably on a high school trip or something like that. And I thought, wow, this is cool stuff. I want to kind of get into this, and I'm like following their page and whatever. And then I notice, like, oh, on Wednesday night or whatever, we're gonna have a drag queen show, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuckity fuck are you talking about? This is like, it's one of those like old American town. I just described what it is. Where in the shit does some kind of fucking faggy garbage crap like that fit into that? Like, how do you have a drag night show or whatever at this thing? And it's educational. Bring the kids. The drag queens will teach you about the history of the location. And I'm like, get my gun. I'm just really fucking just profoundly disgusted by that, offended deeply by that. And but I'm using my normie account. You know what I'm saying? So I can't go full throttle Aristotle on it. I'm like, okay, my face is on here, my name, uh, other information. I have to be careful what I say. But I did say something. I was like, okay, you are, and whatever, you can see like, oh, we're under new management, and all the people they hire are like these fat LGBTQ, trans flag wearing women with like short bull dyke haircuts and just the usual shit. Um, so like they hire their own, you know what I mean? They're not hiring, dudes that care about preserving American history, or anything like that, right? It's just all women, and they're all assholes. So I'm like, okay, listen, what you're doing is you're alienating people who would be interested in attending this location, and being a member of your organization. Like that has nothing to do with American history and that location that you're supposed to be representing. Da da da. And so this trans man basically came into the chat and was like, "Oh, it's wonderful. You love it. You should come. It's great." And la 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 la. And then this trans man like messaged me privately like, "Oh, tell me more about your feelings." And I'm like, "You don't want that. Like, you don't want." I like blocked this weirdo. This disgusting weirdo. And it just, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like it's on, guys. It is on. The war is on. And like I just can't take another day of like our people denying that and being like, "Oh, well, I don't know. What do I do? I don't know what the." Like you got to fight, you know? You got to fight. It's that I don't know. I'm still like steaming about that. That is so disgusting to me. Really horrible. Like I'll be damned if I ever bring my son there. You know. Ah. Anyway, so enough of that. Jewel Nobles here. What does WSG stand for? Haven't seen your stream in a while. Said hi. Well, it's lovely to have you back, Jewel. Thanks for popping in. I did take a bit of a break there. It was almost like 2 months or something. I forget what was going on, some life events. But I'm back. Back in the New York groove, as Ace Frehley says. You guys like Ace Frehley? Um, I like Ace Frehley. You know what? I thought like if I were to like really take guitar seriously and try to learn how to do like rock and roll solos and stuff, I would do a deep dive into Ace Frehley's guitar solos and then just kind of lift off of that, you know, because like the dude is the quintessential rock guitar soloist. Like he's just got it, you know. So what's up with you, Jewel? What is it going on in your world? It's nice to have you. Are you popping in from some other show somewhere else? Just taking a gander? Taking a gander. Anyway, work, work, work. Alrighty. Clown world. Look at that guy. It's always neat to see these pages colored and how they come to life. WSG means what's good. Oh, that's neat. Okay. Once again, like Hippocratic Oath has to like inform me on how to be a person. You know, like, this is what people do in real life. This is the meaning of these things. I don't know all this stuff. You know, I can say stuff like OMG. Hello, fellow teenagers. Alright, looks like it's coming together. Um, how was the Headbangers Ball? I don't know what you're referring to, so I can't answer that question. Are you talking about when I go dancing on Saturdays? That I had a really, really great session on Monday. So if that's what you're referring to, it was phenomenal. And I talked about that a little bit last night. I'm going to start, I got new Kung Fu students, and I'm back with one of my sparring partners. So we're going to hang out, and that's good. It's another good thing, more good news. Anti-whiteism ends with you. Promethean Hales. Hello, hello. Good to see you there. The Great White Ape Wushu. Yes, Wushu is the Chinese word for. It's actually the proper word for martial arts in Chinese. We always say kung fu, but kung fu literally translates as like uh, disciplined work. That's like the literal translation of that. Like kung is not pronounced kung, it's pronounced gong fu. So like gong, like another word in Chinese is gong zuo, and gong zuo means your job. It's your job. Like 你的工作是什么? What is your job? You know, where do you work? Something like that. What field are you in? So gong fu is disciplined work. You know. Very interesting. A little Chinese lesson. Let's see. Great White Ape says, you do know White Ape is what I practiced for 10 years Blackfist. So there is like a White Ape system. Are you serious or are you being silly? Because you do joke a lot, and I don't know if you're joking or not. So just be real with me for a second and let me know. If so, I would love to talk to you about that because that looks like an extremely interesting system. There is something called monkey style, but I don't think it's the same. I think it's like a more aggressive long fist style. I think that it's a Tibetan style of Kung Fu as well, which is pretty rare. Like, we don't have much access to Tibetan Kung Fu in America. Very, very rare and arcane. Anyway, let's read here. Um, I guess Great White Ape is saying yes, I think, and no monkey. So could you describe the White Ape Kung Fu style? And like, where did you learn it? How long did you? Just like try to give me some sense of like, what is it like? Is it a long range style? Does it, what is it similar to any other styles that I might be familiar with? You know, I'm really anxious to know. I saw an article on White Ape in like a Kung Fu magazine years ago, and I was like, wow, I never heard of that before. That's fascinating. And then they just had photographs of like the teacher in the different positions and sort of showing like, here are the applications of the techniques. And I thought that looks freaking amazing. Why I practiced? I have serious vids on my YouTube channel. No shit. All right. Well, my brother, long fist whipping motion of the upper limbs. That's what I thought. I am totally gonna go to your YouTube channel then. I'm psyched. Oh man, what a score! What a score today, Donald Kent. Oh my God, I'm super excited to see that, brother. Good for you. Now, what's your, that's how to phrase this. Have you ever sparred with it? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, how does it feel in action is kind of my question. I'd love to know. Had to be a long time, maybe the 80s. Only the original student took over one of the, okay. Would it be, I mean, would you dox yourself if you told me like where this school is? Or maybe is there a website where their teacher has the forms and stuff like that? I suppose I could just look up White Ape. Maybe that would be the thing to do. Only the original student look. I think that, because I do long fist style, and I feel like there could be a connection. I could learn something. I could incorporate something of White Ape into my repertoire. Um, this is what happens to me is like I'll get a good situation with some people I can work out with, and then I get really in shape, you know, like kung fu shape. I don't. It's not like going to the gym shape. It's a different. It means like my skill level is tweaked. It's on par with what it should be. And then something will happen, and somebody and life changes, and then I got injured, da, da, da. And then all that goes away. And then time passes, and I'm like, fuck, I lose that. I lose the skill level that I gained from working out with all those guys. So this is the thing I'm excited about is just getting back up to because I don't have time to do kung fu every day like you're supposed to. I know you're supposed to, but I don't have time. I don't have 200,000 in my savings just sitting there so I can take a day off whenever I want. Excuses, excuses. But yeah, I should endeavor to do it more frequently. That's kind of the new. Now that I've got the sparring partners and stuff, I will be much more apt to be like, okay, I'm gonna do some training because I want to get, want to go in there and be ready to rock. Plus, I do have to kind of get some lesson planning shit together. Da 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 da. But you're supposed to practice every day. Anyway, let's read. Only the original student. I read that. Take, yes, like a control tornado. Dude, I was talking about that on the show. I don't know if you were on that in the chat during that show, but I was explaining about how there's this centrifugal force that you create, and you can build it up either going like inwards or going outwards, and that's the tornado force that what you call it a tornado force. That's a very good way to call it. It's fascinating how this is connected. Arm toughness, forearms. Yeah, there's some pretty painful training that they make you go through for stuff like that. But yeah, it's you're conditioning your arms. I used to be like the guy that would like bang my arms against trees and stuff back, when I was living in Taiwan and things. And you don't just hitting your arms on trees. You are using some kind of qigong with it. So it's a combination of physical training with energetic training, and it's interesting stuff. So many little details I'm missing here. Arm toughness, striking tree, you don't have the time to learn and training. Leaping footwork is explosive. So yeah, that I think is what's interesting about it is the leaping. So it's got that ape-like physicality to it. You know, there is leaping in crane style, but it's a very specific way of jumping. I mean, they call it jumping, leaping. It's you have to train it a lot so that when you land, you land on one foot, and you land with a type of a slow gracefulness that you absorb the gravity per se. It's hard to explain. You'd have to see it. Um, Whirlwind, 5-star kicking drill, forearms, when wrist. I cannot wait to get to your page and look at that content. That's exciting. I don't know if Luke Mason is still with us, but he is a very serious martial arts dude as well. He's certified to teach, and he's like, he's just one of these super talented guys, basically. You know. So anyway, what am I doing? My buddy CG was on the chat the other night. I was talking about martial arts, and he was like, "Would you be up for sparring with any boxers from specifically from like the action clubs? You know what I mean when I say action club?" And I'm like, "Totally," but there's no action clubs where I live. I live in a very liberal state, which sucks. Um, it's not an easy state. High taxing. Five-star King Judd is a Chinese boxing, not Chinese boxing. No, just like American boxing. I would say that it seems like martial arts is totally dominated by MMA nowadays. When I was growing up, that was not the case at all. It was more Japanese systems, karate, um, taekwondo. You didn't, y- whatever. A little bit of Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun. But when MMA came in, I don't know how organic this was or what, but like everybody just flocked to that stuff, which is pretty much like kickboxing slash Thai boxing slash uh, jujitsu, I guess. Um, that's essentially what that sport is. Notice I said sport, not martial art. Noticing. I know you're so mad at me when I don't go along with what everyone else thinks. It's okay. But wow, I'm excited about that. Wow, cool. White ape. That's a very rare system. Now, I'm thinking you must probably maybe live in someplace like San Francisco or somewhere where there's a really high Chinese population because I don't know, it just seems really rare to be able to find a system like that. Um, ref, refers to WC Kung Fu. What is WC? Wing Chun. Wing Chun Kung Fu. Okay. When you say refers to, what do you? I don't understand what you mean by that. You are referring to it, and why? What are you trying to say? I don't understand. Americans didn't have a term for Chinese. Uh, um, mm, okay. Um, so there it is. The system. Oh, okay. Um, yeah, it's funny because like I've talked about, for example, the sparring club that I ran for, well, like I would say 8 years of the time that I was running a sparring club. I co-ran it. Is that English? I was working with a Wing Chun teacher together to do that. Is what I'm saying. So we both kind of organized it, and in my view, I think is very very good Wing Chun practitioner. Um, and I had the opportunity to meet his teacher from Hong Kong, which is like in the Yip Man lineage. It means something to some people. And that guy was terrifyingly good, like otherworldly good. But it made me realize that he's lying to the students. He's holding off on teaching them the real Wing Chun stuff, like the good stuff. And that's very Chinese. That's very, very, very Chinese to be like, you know, spend years of your life doing techniques over and over and over and paying me and honoring me. But I never ever tell you the actual real good stuff that's like at the core of it, especially if you're not Chinese, because we don't teach our martial secrets to Lao Wai, Wai Guoren. You guys are foreigners. Why the fuck would we teach you our martial secrets. Like that's just you get what I'm saying. There's a kind of racism there, you know. And maybe like I don't want to defend it, but like it is their shit, you know. It's their shit. But it's just so hard to get white people to see past like how they're buying into Orientalism and stuff like that. And there was a hold on, let me read some chats. In California, we used to call them Celestials before the Chinese name came along. Celestials. Are you talking about Taoists or something? Um, Great White Ape says the Chinese referred to what they practice as Chinese boxing. Oh, then Americans. Thank you for making a sentence. That makes sense. Yes, correct. That is right. Because I mean, it's just like going to a Chinese restaurant. They don't feed you the food they eat. They make food for you that's like just for you. It's like because somehow they don't think that you're gonna like their food, or I don't know. I'm like, why don't you fucking feed people your food? You got good food, and like instead they make this greasy garbage. You know, it's like you shouldn't have the option of pizza and chicken wings at a fucking Chinese buffet. That's so stupid, you know. But I don't know. This is just the convention. So that I think all they were really trying to do is just translate it to English. It's all of like martial arts has that kind of stuff where it's like if you were to just say everything, all the names of the various moves and things in Cantonese or Korean or Tagalog or whatever, then it can be a little maybe difficult or alienating for new students. Just call it Chinese boxing, even though it's like not remotely like boxing. You know, I guess I'm a bit of a wiener when it comes to like those linguistic specifics and stuff like that. I apologize for being autistic about that shit. I know it's annoying. Not perfect, but again, I'm super psyched, dude. I will check out your YouTube, and then that'll kind of get me off on like a tangent where I'm like, oh, I need to start, you know, doing a deep dive on white white ape kung fu on the internet. See what I can find, you know. I was right about the long fist stuff. I think the leaping. I'm gonna really, really want to look into that because I think that could be a new tool in my toolbox. I learned some panther or leopard kung fu. I don't know. Sorry. Um, and there's a good bit of leaping in that, but it's unique to that animal. I'm sure it's not anything like white ape. Oh man, can I get some music? Okay. Not the case with our Black Fist Society. Well, I don't know anything about Black Fist Society, so maybe you can educate me on that. That'd be nice to know. I don't know what that is. Nothing held back. Material has to be passed on properly. Well, I understand that. I'm extremely non-traditional in terms of like, you know, I know that like Asians have very, very specific ways of how they teach, who they teach to, and all the rules of the lineage and this and that, you know. Alrighty, good stuff, man. That's neat to know. I didn't know that about you. It's good to know. We broke off and went underground. Wow, really? Um, so by saying underground, I think you mean like you didn't teach this stuff publicly. It just became like kind of like a private group. This music's annoying me. I think I'm gonna have to change it. Yeah, something less sleepy. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Boobs. All right, let me grab some different music. Hang tight, guys. I've got to return to my tree. All right, buddy. Talk to you later. Okay. All right. Some yacht rock going on here. Who else is in the chat? Who else is here? Why don't you say a quick hello in there so I know who's here? You know who I'm talking to? That would be nice. Just get like use a little hand wavy thing or something. That would be good. Das ist gut, ja. I'm still listening. Well, thank you, sir. What's going on with you, Corey? What do you got? What's your take on creating IRL white communities like Arval is doing? And what sort of channels have you been watching? What shows have you been watching lately? You know, like what kind of news are you into inside the movement? This is not. Okay. I'm still nothing. Okay. I guess I'm probably gonna listen to music because there's just too many commercials. Okay. I wish RTTL luck back, but for me, I worry about breaking away too much. Um, I can see that. I can see that. You know, what did I? Somebody was saying the other day about like, well, the Amish have been doing this for years, and then somebody commented, yeah, but they don't talk about it. You know, like they don't announce we're making an all-white community. You know, like they don't say that, right? Now, of course, we know the Amish are you know like it's religious in nature, you know, whatever. But it's very much about culture and you know you get the idea. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think we should have to not talk about it or be afraid to talk about it or whatever. You know, to me, I don't want to give any concessions to our enemies. Um, I don't think it's right to sort of give them the frame of the discussion, if you understand what I'm saying. I gotta move the camera a little bit. Corey says, I don't want us to give up our homelands for small pockets of civilization, but I understand people see the need for it. AJ ruled last night. I wanted a debate. Let me first respond to Corey and then Hippocratic Oath. So that's how I thought for a long time. And then I kind of feel now that I mean, we're already split as a nation. I just don't see, how do I put this? If we don't do this, we're doomed. It's kind of how I look at it. Like, you know, this is kind of like the last, not the last, but it's something that has to be done. And whether the country balkanizes, which I think it will, time will tell or whatever. But I don't know. I'm just at another place where I feel like, you know, it's over. You know, like it's like this. If we're gonna survive and thrive and grow and et cetera, intergenerationally, then we got to do stuff like this. Yeah. Under the current situation, there's no room to grow. There's nothing good for us. You know what I'm trying to say. So last night, Alex Jones had Nick Fuentes on. It was a really, really intense show for Nick. He was on full throttle. Um, Alex Jones sounded like he was drunk, and he looked and acted like he was drunk. He did say at some point, like, he's been up since 6 in the morning, and like Nick had come an hour late or some shit, which I thought was very irresponsible, but I don't know what to say about that. Anyway, and so I have the feeling like Alex Jones was just like really tired or something. But he did seem drunk though, which was kind of comical. Anyway, he'd be a fun guy to get drunk with. So, hey Craig, hello. Hippocratic Oath says rolled, not ruled. Oh, okay. Lol, AJ can't rule his Jameson. Yeah. You know, at some point, Alex Jones said something pretty explicitly about like the deep state is Mossad or something of that nature. Something close enough to that, and I'm sort of feeling like, you know, he wouldn't be caught dead saying that, you know, not long ago, and now he's saying that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, he's changed, and he's got a very, very, very strong position on the political spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has a lot of influence, a lot of followers, and he's finally relented to admit the truth that it's Israel, it's the Jews. You know, even Nick Fuentes is saying things like we shouldn't say, quote, it's the Jews, even though it is, because of, like, you know, if you want to have a discussion in sort of, you know, polite society or whatever, it's just not how you talk. You know, you can't make those kind of statements, and that's stupid, but it's true. You know, I don't disagree with him. A lot of that has to do with the fact that he's cleaning up his image, if you will. How much he can, I don't know. I don't know about that. But it just was an interesting thing for him to say, though, I would say for sure. But yeah, Alex Jones is like full on. You know, he's there. Like, he finally sees the truth of it. And I can remember talking to people in the past that I know are Alex Jones fans, and saying like, okay, you know, I'm way, way down the rabbit hole from Alex Jones. Like, I graduated from him a long time ago, and I'm trying to tell you it's the Jews, you know, like that kind of conversation. And they were uncomfortable with it. So now that their leader, Alex Jones, is saying it, I wonder if they remember me trying to explain that to them and to convince them or not, you know. You never get credit for these fucking things, whatever. Um, that's fine, that's fine. Um, but yeah, I do think that's really significant, though. You know what I'm saying? Um, we need people like him speaking our truths, you know, or I say our truths, but like speaking the truth, you know. Um, it's no longer radical, you know, if it's mainstream, you know. Um, I've been having, since I've made like my normie account and kind of interacting with some local normies and stuff like that. I've been delighted to find that some of them are fairly based. You know, they're not. You know, they don't listen to Stormfront or know who. Know about World War II or like this kind of stuff. But I was pretty shocked to see that they're on board with a lot of stuff. They hate Israel. So there's something is going on. Something is really, really going on. Um, it's probably the first time that the left and the right have ever been this close. You know what I'm saying? Which is pretty extraordinary. Um, I don't know for sure that we're gonna like hold hands and sing "Kumbaya," but it's still pretty amazing, though. Oh, on that topic, someone's gonna have to tell me the name of this guy. He's this Turkish dude who used to be like a bouncer for like drug lords, and then now he's a conservative Republican talk show host. So, you know what I mean? And he had Thomas Rousseau on his show a while back, and he tried to like fuck him up. Like he was yelling at him during the show. He was trying to destroy the notion that like whites should come together in any capacity whatsoever, and just all the usual leftist tropes. Patrick Bet David, like, is that his real fucking name though? I mean, Patrick. I don't think so. I think because I looked it up and I think he's got like a weird first name and he changed it to Patrick. I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure that he's Turkish or he's Armenian. No, I don't know. What is he? Well, he's anti-white. Let's just call it that. How about that? That's really enough, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, he comes out with a clip on YouTube the other day, like, oh, look at this Nick Fuentes guy. He's really smart. Yeah, he's got a lot of influence. He's coming up. Wow, pay attention to this guy. And so I'm thinking, you know, like, you're the enemy. Why are you like promoting Nick Fuentes if not to pull some kind of psyopy bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Um, don't trust the guy as far as I could throw him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, there's two ladies on a boat. There you go. Iranian. Okay, Iranian, Armenian descent. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Uberlib Mark Hamill said he hates Nick, but he agrees with Nick. What? Wow, crazy. That's wild. Corey says, I've seen criticism of Jews going mainstream, but an intense backlash for explicitly defending whites, which I see as two different things. This is a really, really strong point. This is a very, very clever analysis of that. This, wow, man, you just created a rabbit hole, basically. That's brilliant. Um, so, like, the whole thing with Arval, um, and like creating white only communities and this and that, that's certainly like a pro white topic. Whereas, you know, calling out the Jews is something that like anybody can really do because of the open genocide that they've been doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you have two eyes and a heart, you're gonna call that out. You know what I mean? You're not anti-Semitic. You're human. You know. And then people are getting a taste of I don't know what to call it, like Jewish. What the fuck is the word for this? It's like when they use all their little fucking tricks where they're like, oh well, if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. You know, they call you anti-Semitic for every fucking thing, and they change the definition. They wedge it into anywhere they want. You know, and so like the public is now seeing that. Now we were the only ones who saw that for so long. And now that, you know, leftists and normies and your grandmother can be like, holy shit, they're fucking killing babies in Gaza and like what the fuck is wrong with Israel? Oh well, your grandma's anti-Semitic now. We need to put her on a list because she said that, you know. So it's good in the sense that it's shooting the enemy in the foot. You know, they're shooting themselves in the foot. But I'm gonna agree with you, Corey. I think you're making a really strong point that just because they are the enemy of whites and that they are running the white genocide program in every way, it's not necessarily correlated, right? You know what I mean? Like we see it as a victory in the movement, but is it really? You know what I mean? You make a good point. Um, things that make you go. So I guess what that seems to indicate is that we should actually talk more about white demographic interests. Like it's definitely obviously like the whole Gaza and Iran and World War III and all of those things are clearly relevant and topical and you can talk about them. But, you know, it seems like maybe we need to get back to talking about us. I think that's a good point. That to me is the takeaway, Corey. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk more about us. You know, well, how does this affect us as a demographic? Um, Interesting. Okay. A lot of ladies in this show today. Um, okay. Hippocratic Oath says AJ kept coping and Nick kept knocking the cope out of his hand. That was true. That's a really good way to put it. You know, the thing of it really is watching AJ talk about like how sad he is, how disillusioned he is with Trump. Like I think he was so profoundly invested in Trump, and then to have to admit that Trump is in bed with the deep state. No, I'm gonna just throw out there like Trump does good stuff too. You know, I'm not. It's not black and white. He has been and continues to do some good things for America in general. Um, so there's things are you know whatever, and but that might just be the candy coating or something. That it's like, oh, you know, look, I did this or I did that, but you know we're gonna have to like take your biometrics for Palantir, you know, or what have you. So it doesn't balance out, but nevertheless, you know, watching AJ kind of melt a little bit in that way was kind of rough to see. Let's move on. But it just empowers Nick Fuentes so much more. And it brings AJ's audience to Nick Fuentes. Now, when I say Nick Fuentes, what I mean is his message. It's not a cult of personality. You know, it could be. It is probably for some people, like Groypers or something. But throw that out the window and listen to what he's fucking saying. You know, you see, the dude is smart as hell. He's smart as a whip, you know. He knows his shit, big time. He can talk circles around people. You know, he'll just randomly quote, like, oh, well, that was a policy from 1983 by Joe Schmo from Idaho on regarding the budget of somebody, Mary Jane Smith. You know, like, just pulled fucking numbers out of his head, you know. So he's a force to reckon with in the political landscape right now. And that's all I'm saying. Moving on. Is Robert Pilot? Hey, Robert. Welcome back, big guy. What's up? We got some reptiloids. So this is the reptiloid, the Demoncrat, and Clown World. These are three of the major bad guys in the Alliance story. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. This guy right here, he's a secret agent. He's not really one of them. So, I probably shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, I done did it. The horse is out of the barn, folks. Just had a great phone conference with the writer. Just talking about production, scheduling, telling me more about the script and the ideas. So here's the thing: when he started writing this, we were really in quite a different kind of political paradigm back. God, when did this start? 3 years ago? 4 years ago now, almost. You know, and like, you know,